Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday. What a wonderful day it is. It's time for a video. Y'all ready? It's time for another video. And I was just sitting here thinking, like, what are we going to talk about? And one of the things that has been a recurrent theme in my mind is how to stop quitting. How to stop quitting. And the reason why that's on my mind is because oftentimes we want to quit because we may not be seeing the results we want. We may not be seeing much of what we're doing, the outcome of what we're doing. We may not see it, and oftentimes that makes us a little like, well, then what's the purpose of me doing this? Why should I keep doing this? It doesn't seem to be working. But I would admonish you to know that just because you don't always see the effect or the outcome of what you're doing, what you're pressing through, don't quit. Because when you plant a seed and it starts to break open and it starts to grow roots under the dirt, you don't see that. You assume it's happening because you know the process, but you don't see it. It's not visible what's really happening underground. Even though there's a lot of changes that are happening, you don't always get to see everything that happens with that seed underground. You don't get to witness the growth of the roots. You don't get to witness the stem starting to come into. You don't get to witness that till you start to see it poke through the dirt. But way before that stem pokes through the dirt, there's always growth already happening. And just because you just don't get to see it, you don't get to participate in that portion of it, it's still happening. The same thing is with you. Sometimes what God is doing in our lives, or sometimes what God is even doing through us, is not visible to yourself all the time, and it's not always visible to others what God is doing. But because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not happening. A lot of stuff is happening within you, in you, out through you, and you don't even realize it. You don't realize how different you are. You don't realize how much you've grown because it's you. So you're not able to tell the difference always, but it's happening and it's happening. And therefore, I want to encourage somebody to, even though it seems like you're buried, I want to encourage you to know that you're growing. And sometimes God will keep you hidden because there's still some things that needs to be grown outside of you. There's some things that needs to happen outside of everybody's view, that God is allowing that process, or God is allowing that time for everything to unfold, to you to grow into who He's created you to be, and that's okay. And we have to remain confident in what He's doing, confident in that we don't always know, we don't always understand, but He knows all, and that there's nothing that we can do that will be able to stop the will and the hand of God in our lives. So I want to encourage somebody to keep in faith. Don't allow what you don't see to keep you from moving forward. Don't allow the fear of what you don't see keep you from moving forward. Walk in faith, because that's where your faith really grows. That's where you learn to lean consistently on Him. And we don't put our faith in anything else around us. Sometimes God wants us to just lean on Him. Put your faith totally in Him, totally in His word, totally in His promises. And then eventually you'll start to see the growth of that. You'll start to see the fruit of that. But if you give up because it's not going at the pace you thought it would go, or that it's not happening the way you thought it would happen, that we can still be confident in this thing, that we will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, and that we can keep fighting the fight of faith, because that's exactly what it is. I know even for me, it's a fight of faith, and that we don't get tired in well doing, that we don't give up when it gets too difficult, that we persevere, that we keep going. Because I'm always the belief that it's not about you or I. It's not about us. It's not about what God is doing always for us. And sometimes we forget that there's a reason for you being here. And sometimes we look at life as if it's about getting a blessing for ourselves. But God, I believe, want to make you a blessing for somebody else. And I believe that by not quitting, by standing in faith and walking it out, even when it's hard, that our testimony become that much stronger, because we are the light, the salt and the light of the earth. And so we stay confident in Christ and who he's called us to be, because there's somebody that needs to see that light. There's somebody that you're encouraging that you don't know. There's somebody that you're helping to stand that you don't know. There's somebody who is not throwing in the towel because they see your strength. They see your faith. They see what God is doing through your life. So I always say it's not about me. And sometimes you're like, but God, what about me? And I believe that God will take care of you. God will do more than enough for you. But let's not lose sight of the greater purpose that God has for us, that is beyond ourselves. I always believe that there's a bigger picture. I've always been a firm believer that we're not a people that is supposed to just exist. I have a hard time accepting that. I can say that I am defiant in that way. I can say that I'm rebellious in that way, because I refuse to settle for the belief that we're only here just to get things and we're only here to get what we want. I believe that we leave something behind that shows that there is a God, that there is Christ, that there is his workings in us. And I just refuse to settle, honestly, that that's all there is. And I just refuse. And and that's why I'm able to encourage people, even though things may not always be great in my own life. I'm able to encourage people because I know what God has done. I know what God has brought me through. I know what God has kept me through when nobody knew, and when nobody was there. I knew that I had God, and that was my confidence. That was what I held on to. So don't quit when it gets hard. And we have to sometimes remind ourselves. And I even have some days I allow myself to have a crybaby party. It's okay. Sometimes allow yourself to be human, for goodness sake. It's okay. Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't be human, because you're human. You're made of flesh and blood, period. Everybody. So you can allow yourself to have a day where you just whine to yourself. That's okay. I do not condemn that. That is okay. Be you. Do what you got to do to get through it, but then get up and keep it moving. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can't quit. I want to encourage somebody, don't quit. No, you stand in faith and you confess, I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And I will see everything that he's promised me. And I will do everything he's called me to do. And I will be confident. I will be assured. I will not waver. And it's okay to slow down sometimes and just be rest. Just rest sometimes, you know because sometimes we try to do everything, and sometimes God is just saying, if you just let me have this, if you just let me do this, rest, because you won't want to quit so much if you just rest. If you'll let me be God and just rest, if you will trust in my word and just rest, don't quit. What good is quitting going to do? You Quitting to me is like only getting what you think. You're getting what you've declared over your life. If you're quitting, you're going to get the effects of quitting. You're not going to see what you were promised. You're not going to be able to take hold of what God has promised you if you quit. Quitting is the easiest thing to do. I'm such a believer in that. That is the easiest thing to do. I can just quit it all and just be like, you know what? I don't care. It's easy for us to do that. There's no effort in that. But it takes great faith to stand in faith and say, nope, even though I have to climb this mountain, I'll climb it. Even if I have to walk through this valley, I'll walk it. Even if I have to cross this water and I have to walk through it, I'm going to walk through it. Even if I have to walk alone, I will walk alone. Whatever God has called me to and whatever God has called me for, that I will do it as an obedience to Him, and that I won't get in my own way and say, I'm quitting. No, we don't quit. King's kids don't quit. We may feel like it, but we don't quit. There's no reason to quit. Just keep fighting. Keep believing. And when it gets hard, rest. When it gets tough, rest and allow yourself to feel. I used to be, think it was bad to show how you feel. And actually, in actuality, is a great thing to be honest about how you feel. Yes, we're redeemed and we're saved by God. Yes, we have a strength in Him. All of those things are true, but we're still human. And we as Christians have to be honest, that there's days when I just want to be human. There's days when I'm just like, I'm not feeling it, but I know those days don't last long. I know that feeling don't last long, and that's okay. But don't throw in the towel, don't quit, don't give up, don't get discouraged, don't get tired in well doing. That God will give you the ability to walk. He'll give you the ability to walk without falling and fainting. He'll give you the ability to run. He will be there every step of the way, but you have to be willing to say, okay, I'm in this for the long haul and that I'm not quitting. Okay? So I hope this word blesses you. I hope you know that you're worth it and that everything God has placed in you, that God is doing in you, is worth it for the world to see. You have something that the world needs, and if you quit, we all lose. We don't get what God has given you to deliver to the world. So I hope that encourages you guys. That is my motivational tidbit for today. And this is your girl Kimberly, and we'll do this again. We'll chit chat and leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe and that little bell that you see, hit that too, because that will alert you when I create a new video and I submit it. And I hope you guys are blessed and you have a more favorable week.